for his killing is not yet clear, but it now raises serious questions on the recent killings of other clerics at the coast.
At the Coast General Hospital, the body of slain Sheikh Salim Bakari Mwarangi makes its way to the mortuary. Accompanying the body are his friends and family, who say the late cleric was shot as he was leaving his house for the Bilal Mosque, where he served as a cleric for 5 years. He died while receiving treatment in hospital. According to those who witnessed the shooting, the cleric was shot 3 times.
Pikipiki ilikuwa na watu wawili, na watu wawili wale wamejifunika hawaonekani vichwa, na ilikuwa haina plate number. Wamempiga risasi 3. 2 za tumbo, 1 imempiga kwa mkono.
They say the cleric had raised concerns about his life, saying there were people who were after him and he feared they would one day kill him.
Vitisho alisema juzi kwamba wakati wote huenda kifo chake kikawa hatarini kwa sababu anatafutwa. Lakini hakusema ni nani mwenye kumtafuta. Kwa hiyo ilikuwa anajua kwamba anatafutwa na atauliwa.
The late cleric had taken a tough stand against extremism in Mombasa. He was a member of the Mombasa Peace Committee and was helping the government in dealing with radicalization and guiding Muslim youth towards the right path. It is not yet clear who may have killed the moderate cleric, but his death now brings to the fore the many unanswered questions on the number of clerics killed at the coast in the last couple of months. There have been no prosecutions as yet, even as police launch investigations into the killings. Linda Ogutu, KTN.
Now, 5 people have died in a tragic road accident at Kiangai area along the Karatina-Kiangai road. The accident that occurred early this morning was a head-on collision involving 2 saloon cars. Central Region Traffic Commandant Samuel Bor says one of the vehicles was overloaded. Police are yet to determine exactly how many passengers were in the Probox. 4 of those who died were occupants of the Probox, and 1 was in the saloon car. 2 Form 4 students and a teacher were rushed to the Karatina District Hospital. Area residents complained that the road was too narrow and there have been a number of accidents along that section of the road.
Hii Probox si mbaya kumbemba, lakini kwa mputi wanaweka watu. Kuna viti inawekwa kwa mputi. Nyuma inabemba watu 5, mbele inabemba 4. Kwa nini? Na japo kuna polisi. Na wakipita hapo wakisimamishwa 50, gari inapita.
Ni barabara hii nyembamba sana. Na walimaliza kazi na wakaenda. Sasa tunataka kuambia serikali yetu, wakiona tukichukua matawi kwa hii barabara wasitupige. Tutaanza kupambana na hii barabara. Tunataka mwenye kufanya hii kazi arudie. Atutengeneze barabara mzuri.
We are yet to know the exact number of the passengers who are being ferried in this Probox. Hatujua exactly ni wangapi, lakini kwa hakika watu 5 wamekufa ambao wako mochari sahi. So ndio tunafuatilia tujue wale wameumia kwa hospitali ni wangapi.
The Turkana Student Association in Eldoret has called upon the leaders from Turkana and Pokot to address the Kapedo border dispute that has claimed the lives of both police officers and civilians. Led by the association chairman, Pius Ekidor, the students accuse the government of not providing adequate security personnel to deal with banditry and cattle rustling in the area. Even with the deployment of the Kenya Defence Forces to Kapedo, they say more needs to be done to beef up security at Turkana's borders. They further urge the leaders to avoid inciting the neighboring Pokot and Turkana communities.
Kapedo is a place in Turkana. It's not a place in Baringo County. As the name suggests, Kapedo is a Turkana ward. And the MCS, the chiefs, everybody is answerable to the County Assembly of Turkana, to the County Commissioner of Turkana, and hereby we are telling the leaders of Pokot to stop inciting their people.
I'm really urging the government of Kenya, the leaders, to take an action to save our people, because we've lost a lot of people.
to matters education, and the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Jacob Kaimenyi, has today held a consultative meeting with the education sector stakeholders at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development here in Nairobi to discuss the reasons cases of student unrest in universities. Well, the grievances he received from students include increased fees, inadequate accommodation, delayed disbursement of HELB loans, offering of courses that are not registered by the relevant professional bodies, among others. Kaimenyi urged the vice-chancellors, chairs of councils, and principals of both private and public universities to address the issues raised swiftly enough in order to enhance efficiency in service delivery.
Because it happens very frequently, we thought, through the advice of the CS, that we should come together and consult on this issue and together come up with some sustainable solutions by way of how do we move forward? How do we reduce the cases of student unrest in our universities?
Some of you are very dictatorial. Whether that is true, I don't know. It's very difficult for students to be heard. And then when they hear you, when you give them an opportunity, they claim that you dress them down. Think about it. Then interference in student elections by university management. Do we interfere? Do you decide who should be a chairman? Do you bribe them? I've heard those stories. It is not your business. Let's have free and fair elections of students. The students have come to me and they have said it. Some of the vice chancellors, in collusion with the chairman, they decide this fellow should not be the chair. Why? The government is concerned, stakeholders are concerned. What is happening in our universities? One university goes on strike within a few days or almost simultaneously, others go on strike. This is not a cup of tea, because it has its own implications, which are manifold, and you know that.
Now, the average age of a minister in the Presbyterian Church is 61 years, but Reverend Dawn Gikandi was ordained at just 31. She is one of the youngest ministers on the continent, and in a country where physical disability is often viewed as a curse, Reverend Dawn has seen it as a platform to shatter stereotypes, break barriers, and blaze a trail for others. This week on Outliers, the remarkable story of a woman who refuses to be limited by circumstances.
Ordained in April of 2014 at the age of 31, a theologian and a social media enthusiast, Reverend Dawn Gikandi is one of a few women and even fewer persons with physical disability who serve the church as an ordained pastor.
You may focus on an outward disability, yet the people who are crippled within, like when I was struggling with the issues of hating myself and some form of depression, nobody knew. I had a teacher who used to tell her class, I never took that unit, you should be having a smile always like Dawn. And I kept on thinking, I smile outwardly. Do you know what's going on inside? So for me, disability has been a platform. One, of people laughing, just being mean. Two, of me learning to depend on God. There was a time I just stood somewhere and asked God, now, I need an angel here. I needed to access a building, and the way it was built, I needed help. And incidentally, someone just passed me and asked, do you need help? And I was like, thank you, Lord. And during those moments, I just get close to God in my own way.
Here at Bahati Martyrs Church, Dawn and another pastor care for more than 4,000 congregants. Dawn regularly takes to Facebook to post inspirational messages and sends out Bible quotes to at least 400 people a day on her mobile phone. Having gone through some dark times herself, she knows the value of an encouraging word.
I may not go through what you are or someone else's, but since I've struggled with something, I know what pain is, struggle is, doubt is, faith is at the end of all that and in between. So for me, it has really been used of God.
Dawn wears a back brace tightened around her back to give it strength and uses a walking stick for stability. Her musculoskeletal condition is a result of injuries that her mother suffered during pregnancy when she was hit by a car while crossing a road. Medics warned Dawn's mother that the child born from that pregnancy would never walk and would likely suffer severe deformities. They recommended an abortion.
But Mom told them, if God has let this child survive, He will give me the grace to take care of the child, no matter how difficult it will be. I always wondered why God let me survive. In those days in high school, when it was so bleak and dreary, I would ask God, why didn't you just let me die? It would have been easier for my parents. It would have been easier for me, but my parents said I was the beginning of their joy. So back now to high school, looking back, I always wondered, why would God let me go through all that? There were many places I would have died before birth, during the accident, during birth, during that complication. And I kept on asking so many questions. And enough of those times I was very negative. But then I realized God doesn't have to change to be what I want Him to be. But I'm the one who needs to change to be, to align myself with His will.
Coming to terms with her physical limitations hasn't always been easy, but Dawn's unique perspective has made it possible for her to enjoy her work and pursue her passion.
Have you spent a day with people who cannot hear, the deaf or hearing impaired? You will learn one thing. When you're with them, you're the one who is disabled. They will talk. Disability is just a perspective. When they are together, that's I call it their normal. So it just depends on the perspective. So for me, it just reminds me I may not be enabled like the rest, but I have things that I've been enabled to do. I know it sounds like I'm a bit too optimistic. I know I'd be accused of that, but it's so real to me, where every moment of my life, that's what I'd want people to learn from. Someone came and said, no, life is unfair. And sometimes I wonder, compared to what are you comparing life with? But, difficult things happen, diseases, some that are very fatal or terminal, and you don't choose it, you find yourself sick, accidents. And I thought, and for the first time, I think I shared with them my story. And I said, I couldn't change the accident. I wish I could at some point. But I realized that I had no control over that, but I have a say in my attitude. I may not choose what happens, but I choose how I respond to it. And I choose to see a positive side of it, or at least let God work on it with me.
To become a minister at this church, Dawn Gikandi has overcome what many would say are insurmountable odds. But the way she sees things, what she has is not a disability, it's just a different kind of normal. Nancy Kachingira, KTN.
And that marks the end of KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for watching. See you again tomorrow. I'm Betty Kialo.